Hey, okay, then we start. So welcome to our session here right now. Dave.
I'm Dave Koenig, solution sales engineer for the Midwest. I'm going to be moving into a new role as the industry segment manager for the whole country, but still with Lenze come next year. I've been with the company a little over 5 years, heavy into automation. That's a little bit about me. And
yeah.
Daniel Repp.
Yeah, I'm Daniel. So 22 years now with the company, or no, in November it's going to be 22 years. I'm German, but I live in Chicago. So in November 2000, I started in Germany with Lenze, and then I moved to different roles. Spent some time in China, lived there for 4 years, and then I moved into the US, which was a much better move. But yeah, my role is business development, product management for the automation systems solutions we're offering, right? And so I'm based also in Chicago, and kind of we're in the same office basically. And since he started with Lenze, we're working together all the time. And you know, if you have questions, you can always reach out to Dave or myself. And again, we are here in the Midwest. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Lenze has your back. But you know, it's kind of in the first place telling you a little bit about basically the whole spectrum Lenze is covering from a machine automation perspective, right? And I don't know how familiar you guys are with the company Lenze, but just to give you a quick idea, we are roughly $1 billion privately owned company. And we have locations all around the world, right? So here on the screen, you see the main locations where we are actually producing our products. And as you can see over here, that's Uxbridge, USA in Massachusetts. This is our US headquarters. And this is where we also produce our drives, or some of our drives. And I think we're all pretty proud of that we are actually one of the few manufacturers producing VFDs in the US, right? So we're doing the boards, everything basically from scratch, if you want. We have our machines over there. And we're doing 25,000 plus drives per month.
Yeah, and right now it's SMV and Protec, black Protec drives we make in the US. Cabinet drives, we still import them, but coming of next year, that manufacturing will be in Uxbridge as well. So all VFD lines that we make, except 8400 and some of the legacy stuff, will be made in the States here. So.
Right. And if you want to stop by later at our little booth, you can see the drives. We have them there as well. So if you see a black drive, that's definitely produced completely here. Yeah. Right, and we think that's a pretty good move. And anyway, it's my personal take on this is anyway, you should produce where you are and not ship it around the world. But okay, so just to give you an idea, right? So if you have international customers, they're not maybe, or your customers may be shipping their machines somewhere else in the world. These are our production facilities, but of course we're having sales locations in many more places, right? So we have nothing in Africa, as you can see, or in South America from a production standpoint. But if you need support, we have people in South Africa, in Brazil, in Argentina, all around the world. So yeah, this is the headquarters. It's a picture of the headquarters over there. You can maybe see a little bit the green area there. This is where it goes back, way back into, the production area, the facility. Uxbridge, Massachusetts. We have application support there, customer service, technical calls. So it's basically our US headquarters, right? But we have sales and applications in many more locations in the US. Like in Chicago, we have a pretty strong team. We have an office in Detroit. We have an office in LA. We are just opening up an office in Atlanta, right? And then we have remote sales guys
all over the place.
all around. So as I said, 25,000 drives per month, and going up the numbers because everybody, the drives are in high demand. And we have over 400 employees here in the States. Worldwide, it's 3,500 roughly, just to give you an idea. So, but enough about the locations and where we are and where we're located. So basically, if you're looking into market demands right now, right? And this is more like really from the market demand. That's what you see here on the left side of this slide. The challenges and trends, right? Individualization on demand, what does that mean? So basically that means customers going into a shop and they want their products individualized, right? Maybe you know that from Coca-Cola. I don't want to make any kind of advertisement here, but they have the cans where you have the name on it, right? So people wanted to buy the can with their name on it. So how do you do that, right? As a manufacturer, what's the best way to do that, right? But at the end, it's a request from the market where they want to go. And you can see this trend in many different areas, right? From a packaging material, everybody wants to have different packaging material, and they want to basically change everything on the fly within their machines, right? So that's a request coming in from the market. So now the machine builder has to react to that, right? The same you see on digitalization of production systems. I think we all know, IIoT and remote access and all these predictive maintenance and asset management, all these digital terms. The end users are demanding that more and more because basically the customer expects it, right? Then the big problem, lack of resources. I know we know that at least from our company. Trying to find people, we're trying to hire people, and it's really hard to find, good employees. And then, of course, rise of new business models, right? And maybe one of the most popular ones is Spotify or Uber, right? The taxi industry never saw any kind of competition, right? And they never expected to see something, and then somebody came up because of digital business models, right? So all these challenges and trends coming in, and basically the machine challenge is you need scalability, you need an openness because you are not going to be able to handle everything by yourself. You need to cooperate with others, you need to integrate stuff, you need modularity, connectivity, and of course safety because you want to make sure nobody gets hurt, right? And this is where Lenze comes in, where we can help because we have the hardware, we have the software, and we think we also have the know-how after 75 years in the business.
Sometimes it takes a little longer to get the know-how, but we do have the know-how.
Right. And so basically here in a nutshell, lots of demands coming from the market to the machine builder, right? And we think we are the right partner to help you to master the system complexity with the hardware, the software, engineering, and digital services, right? Because one of the big things for Lenze really is, and the big advantages, I think, is that we are offering openness, scalability, modularity, connectivity, and safety. And especially if we are talking openness, what does that mean? Typically, we're following open standards, so it's going to be easy for you to integrate different suppliers or other companies into the whole system and not being just focused on Lenze only, but adding whatever you need to add, right? And with that, basically here is an overview about our core product portfolio, where you can see, on the bottom we have all the different gearboxes, motors, AC motors, servo motors, synchronous, asynchronous motors, right?
Smart motors.
Smart motor, that's what we call this one here, right? But then it goes into the second level, basically, where we have all the different kind of drives. You need a VFD. Hey, we produce them here, as mentioned earlier. You need a servo drive. servo amplifier. We have the servo amplifiers, right? We have the PLC, motion controller, line controller, however you want to call it, the HMIs, safety controller, safety PLC, basically, connectivity into the cloud, the IoT gateway, right? And that's basically the hardware aspect. But now, of course, we have also the software and the tools to relatively easy handle all this kind of stuff, right? If we're saying easy, of course, you still need to know what we're talking about. If you never have, dealt with a VFD, and I can tell you this is super easy to handle, you have never seen that, of course you have a problem, right? But if you're familiar with the material and the products, it should be relatively easy to handle. And as you can see here on top, we're trying as much as possible to follow open standards, right? So, we're based on CoDeSys. Our technology modules, we call them Lenze Fast. They are built on CoDeSys, right? And CoDeSys is kind of an open standard. Everybody can go into CoDeSys. Field bus-wise, EtherCAT is our field bus of choice, which we think that's the Lenze field bus we are using. But we are open to Ethernet IP or Profinet or CAN or Modbus Rtu or whatever kind of additional field bus you have. We have that as well, right? And here, this is just a little bit different view just to explain, because why do we think EtherCAT is one of the better field buses? Not just only because of the technology, because it's a real motion bus, right? A deterministic.
Yeah. It's very open, a lot of third-party.
Right, and it's you can find the most hardware for a bus system on EtherCAT, actually, right? So if you need to integrate something into your machine concept and your machine is running on EtherCAT, you have the best chances to find components for that, even if it's something which is maybe not very common, right? And so it's an open platform because EtherCAT is kind of an open field bus, right? Everybody can build their own devices for EtherCAT. If you can do that with Ethernet IP as well, or with Profinet, but it's a little bit more tricky, and you have to get in contact with Siemens or Rockwell, right? And build that up, and it's there are some more challenges, right? And because right now in these days we're all seeing issues with availability of hardware, and there's a lot of issues on field bus modules, right? We're on EtherCAT, so you get an IO-Link master, you hook it up to the Ethernet network, and then you run your IO-Link communication from there, right? So that could, that helps machine builders to find a flexible way around these shortages and keep their machines up and running or build them and ship them, right? So this is kind of the really the big advantages for Lenze because of this openness and this huge portfolio, basically, so that you can add lots of things into it. And, we are open to that, absolutely, right? And I'm even going a step further and saying, right now here you see this architecture is basically showing a Lenze controller here on top, right? If I'm going back one page, you see here we have Ethernet IP as well, right? So now you can think of, okay, my customer, your customer is already running an Allen Bradley PLC. They don't want to change that, okay? Okay, instead of EtherCAT, now you put in here an Allen Bradley PLC, you use our Ethernet IP, you get all the drives, motors, gearboxes from us still, right? But you use your Allen Bradley PLC. So, and that's what we're talking about openness, right? We're open for all these kind of interaction or interchangeable communications with different vendors. From there, just real quick, a little bit into software, because we all know that, as mentioned before, right, it's hard to find enough employees and skilled workers. This is why we came up with all these, we call them fast technology modules, which are basically prepared technology modules for motion application, right? If you think about a positioning application, you can take one of our positioning modules and add it in there. You need a winder. This is the symbol for a winder, right? You take the winder. It's a technology module ready to go. You use our free available software. You program it. You set your parameters. So you need a winder, or you need a rewinder or an unwinder. You just set the parameter you need. It does automatically, all the diameter calculation and all this kind of stuff. It happens all in that module. You don't have to take care about that, right? You just have to give basically the parameters so that the module, the technology module, knows in which limits it has to move, right? So what is your speed, and what's the tension of for your material, these kind of things. So that's all built in here, and again, it's all built on IEC 11631 CoDeSys, right? And if you want to open that technology block, you're a programmer, you can do it. But if you don't have all these skilled workers, maybe it's okay just to use the standard functionality, have them set the parameters, and you have your machine up and running in a short time, right? So this is how we think it's really important to have not just also the hardware, but additionally the software to make it as easy as possible, and also to give you, for us, it's a product. So it's proven, it's ready to go. There's a documentation for each module, which you can go through. And if you have a question, you call our service or support team, and then they will support you, of course, right? So really to help standardize your machine and make it easier. And this is just a little bit a different view where you can put all your technology modules together into a template if you want to do that, and build your machine modules. So if you have a whole machine line, or you break down your machine in an in-feed, a cross-cutter, an out-feed, you build your template and you put these modules together and you build your machine even in modules, and you follow, from a software standpoint, you're basically following the hardware structure of your machine, right? And then you see here again the open standards. Basically, we are kind of open for everybody to join us, right? Or work with us together, or we work with them. And that's really, again, one of the big advantages, I think, if you're looking into Lenze. Here are just a few different ways, because I mentioned if you want to follow the hardware structure of a machine, you have a destacker, a picker, a buffer, another buffer, a wrapper, an outfeed. Now you can build your different machine modules with all these existing technology modules. And now one of the real cool things is that we have our servo drives, like the i950, and this one is using the same technology modules like you use in a motion controller.
Built into the drive.
Right, yeah. So it's built into the drive. It comes basically with the firmware, and you just pick one. You have to pick one. You only can pick one because an axis can only run one motor, right? And you pick one here, like the winder, and we have the demo at our little booth.
Showing the winding and the unwinding. So it's all that's done at the drive level.
Right, so you do that all in the drive. Now you have a more complex machine where you have tons of axes, like 10, 20, 30, 40 axes. You need a controller on top of it. You do the whole thing just in the controller, but you use the same software, right? So it's kind of, it doesn't matter if you want to do that in the controller, kind of centralized, or if you want to do it decentralized right in each drive. You know the software, and you can easily mix and match it, which makes it much easier again, to develop your machine, right? And gives you hopefully some help to overcome the challenges coming in from the market side. So just real quick, and then I hand it over to Dave, right? But just real quick, we have the C500 controller series, which is our PLC motion controller part, where we have different versions depending on your needs, if you just run a few axes or many axes, right? But this one basically goes up to 60, 70 axes depending on the speed and the cycle times you need. We have the web panels, and web panels basically means that on this device, on the PLC, we are running a visualization. The PLC is connected to a network. You connect the web panel to this network. And as long as there's a browser available and you're in the same network, you see the visualization. You can use your phone. If there's a Wi-Fi network, the controller is connected to a Wi-Fi network. You have a browser on your phone. You know, most of you probably have an iPhone. You open Safari. You type in the IP address. Boom, you have the visualization on your phone, right? And then here on the right, we call it X4 Remote or the X500 IoT gateways. That basically offers you remote access. If you buy the hardware once, you have lifetime free VPN connectivity, right? So you can remotely log in into your machine. If there's a service case, you log in, you check what's going on. Maybe you can fix it remotely from your office without even going there. So everybody having remote access already saves money. You know, the first time somebody doesn't need to go to the customer, right? And then, yeah, that's basically the basic version. And if you want to get more like dashboards, data collection, all these kind of things, you want to collect your OEE, overall equipment efficiency, you want to do asset management, ticket management, all these kind of stuff, predictive maintenance. That's the whole next level, which basically by just having this little box in here, you are ready to do that. You don't have to, but you can, right? You would be ready for that. Yeah, then just the i950 is basically our newest and strongest servo drive we have available. We have an i700 series, which is basically a double-axis module with a distributed DC bus. So you only bring in power once into a power supply, and then the DC bus is distributed directly through all the drives. So it's a really easy-to-handle product as well, and powerful specifically if you're going into 5-6 axis applications.
And that drive will be in the future updated to the i750,
right?
Which will have advanced safety and single cable, and it basically will have the guts of the i950 and the 750. So that will complete the portfolio where you have the bus drives, you know, as opposed to the individual drives.
Right. And then the VFD line, the i500 line. And by the way, both the i950 and the i500, they're going from half horsepower up to 150 horsepower, right? So it's a huge power range you can pick from. And yeah, just to recap that a little bit, very important from our point of view is the openness, right? You have an open architecture, an open platform, so that you can interact with a lot of different other companies. You can bring in hardware, software, you know, and make the life of the machine builder easier, and also of the end user, of course, at the end, following all these open standards. Scalability, right? Really, as I mentioned, the product's going from very small to very big power sizes, but also the combination or the possibilities on how you can combine all the drives with each other, right?
And motors, drives and motors.
And motors, right? And so you have an i950 and you have the Easy Starter installed on your laptop. Hey, you know, you use the same software for the i500 because it's the same tools, right? So you can really bring that together and scale the machine, not only by the power size, but also by the functionality you need. And then the modularity, again, you know, specifically if you're going into software, you can build your software structure, modules by modules, following machine modules, and build your whole setup so that specifically if you repeat, you know, your production lines and you do the same machine over and over and over, that helps you a lot and saves you, you know, really a lot of time. So the last point, I think it's the last point, is basically the connectivity, which I mentioned before. We have all these open, all these field buses, so we can connect to different products, but also Opc Ua. If you're going into the cloud, if you're doing all these digital businesses, right, there are two big languages out there, Opc Ua basically and MQTT. These are the main common communication tools. Protocols, right? And that's of course what we support here as well. The i950, for example, has MQTT built in it, right, into it. So you have that already in the drive and you can easily communicate into the cloud. Not only with our IoT gateway, but if there's a different one, you know, it's an open standard, so you can use basically every kind of different hardware as long as they also support these open standards, right? So, and then with that, I hand it over to Dave.
Thank you.
So to go a little bit more into the details of the different products and the options we have there.
Yeah, mostly I'm going to be talking about is the inverters and show you guys some possible solutions with the chip shortages and all that, like alternative stuff. And when I say inverters with Lenze, we classify VFDs and servo drives as inverters, but they're VFD inverters and servo inverters. So I'll start with the VFD inverters, go through some slides, and then I have some slides on the servos as well. And a few of the slides here, we have live demos out there, so you can see them in action. Not exactly what I have up here, but you know, for the most part. So our i500 series, like Daniel says, these are made here in the States. The ProTech drive here, which one's the laser?
The red.
Oops. Sorry. Oh boy.
Uh-oh. This one, the red one, that's the laser pointer. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, these are produced in Uxbridge. This one particular one here I'm showing is with the disconnect. These right here are cabinet drives, which we bring in, eventually will be manufactured here in the States. And then the drive here in the middle, which I got a few slides on, is our new i500 ProTech. So, Motech. So this is ProTech, this is Motech. So, yeah. So sometimes it's a little confusing. So, first thing I want to start out with is our field bus networks that we have. Currently, right now, we do Modbus Rtu, IO-Link, and CAN. These are Ethernet buses that we can get. And we have some creative solutions that I'll show you later on that we can offer. These other buses here, as everybody knows, you can't, a lot of manufacturers can't get. We got 8,000 Intel chips, and we will start backfilling orders November of this year to fulfill those. And then we've got 10,000 Renaissance chips, which are our new redesigned. So in January of 2023, we will start being able to fulfill newer orders. So that's just kind of up and coming. So in certain cases, if there's, key customers that we want to go after or needs for it, we can see it on a case-to-case basis. But for the most part, that is starting to come back. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that here. So this is a first solution I show out here. And like I said, I just show Rockwell in there. It doesn't have to be Rockwell. It's just, there's a lot of specs out there, so a lot of people want to use Rockwell. So with the Rockwell, I'm kind of showing a power mation product, the Ethernet IP to IO-Link Phoenix. And then with that, we can connect to all the drives. So then you can still, more or less, connect. And a lot of big OEMs and customers have these IO-Link blocks out there anyways. It's a nice thing because Rockwell limits the amount of Ethernet IP drops. So this is kind of a way to cheat them. If they only allow you like 20 or 30, then you can put one of these in here and you can address them that way, you know what I mean? So that's another option too. And then with some of these IO-Link devices, the parameters for the drives can be stored in there. So when it comes to replacement, you could take the drive out and then it would upload the parameters. We also have the chips, little EEPROM chips in there to change them out. So it's a very flexible drive in order to change out when a drive goes down. And this is just showing the Phoenix device. So this is another situation here where we're doing Modbus Rtu. And I list the advantages. The nice thing with Modbus Rtu is it's a daisy chainable system, so it's not a point-to-point like IO-Link is. So there's some advantages to that. It's probably a little slower than IO-Link, but you know, if you're controlling VFDs for the most part, a lot of times that's fine. And then if you do decide to go Modbus Rtu and CAN, I don't know if a lot of people know, so our i510 drive is a little less expensive, smaller, you know, availability and horsepower and all that, no safe torque off, but you can get it with Modbus Rtu and CAN on it built in. So that there is a nice option if it fits if you're running a fan or a pump or a simple conveyor. So, and this is just kind of showing you the Phoenix version of that converter. And then here's another one, an AnyBus, just some out there. And this actually was a customer down in Chicago where they're using Micrologic's PLC, which is an inexpensive Rockwell PLC. Micrologic's native is Modbus Rtu, so you can just use Modbus Rtu drives. Perfect, you know what I mean? It's a low-cost Rockwell solution. I know those words don't go together a lot, but in this case it does. So, and then this is one of the demos I have running out there where we're using a Horner PLC, which is a nice, very inexpensive, easy-to-use PLC. It's a little different than what's configured here because I don't have the Modbus Rtu drives on it, but it's showing you. So you can do Modbus Rtu directly to the drives to run the motor. It's a little fancier. I've got the IO-Link in there, but it's kind of showing you that. And then here's a couple slides too. That one of the nice things, not only are we better priced than Rockwell, but we're also have better power losses. So this is just a comparison that they did in Uxbridge. We have a lab there, and we compared the Rockwell drive to our drive, and you can see the power losses on the 230. The colors are kind of hard to see, but the higher line here is the Rockwell, so you can see it's actually pretty bad. So ours is much more efficient, and then on the 480 it's a little closer, but it's you can see about 19% more efficient, and this is 47. So that's an advantage there. And then not only are we more efficient, our performance is better. So here we did 2 tests with the Rockwell drive where you're running it at a 1500 RPM, and then you do a 100% torque disturbance. It takes a half a second for the Rockwell drive to respond. And this is in senseless vector, by the way, so it's not volts hertz. So it takes a half a second to respond, and it dips by 245 RPMs. The same thing with the Lenze drive. You can see it responded much quicker, 150 milliseconds, and it dropped by less than half on the RPM. So it's a more higher performance drive, more efficient drive, and there's just many other advantages that we offer. Like when we do have our field bus, it's got a repeater built in, so you don't need a switch or a hub. Or I think Rockwell has an adder, if you want to get that extra Ethernet port on there. So this is, and then our product manager's I got a whole video on this if this is something you're interested in. It kind of really digs in deep and kind of shows a lot more advantages that we offer. So here's a list of some top 10 reasons to buy the i500, and you can see here, like a lot of things that Daniel talked about. You've got common architecture. This comes in an IP66 outdoor rating. That's kind of unique. Sometimes they have IP66 indoor rating, but this is outdoor, so it could physically be outside. The case is UV protected, so it doesn't, well, that's not going to yellow, it's black, but so. And then the starting torque here was the one thing too with a higher performance. So, and this is just kind of a snapshot of the up and coming i550 Motec. So you can see here, we have it motor mounted, but this is wall mounted here. It's got advanced safety in there. It will have PLC programmability eventually. That'll be the I650 Motec. So it's got an IO link master built in. It does not need a brake resistor because it's full line regen. So there's a lot of nice features in this. The connectability is one of the big things too. So these M12 twist, I don't know if you've ever seen those. That's the new thing. Instead of the screw-on, there's like a quick twist. So these come with that as well. So a lot of nice features in this. The same software, same programming that you use on the other i500 products, the Easy Starter. And then now the i950 servos out there. So you can see right here, got the single cable technology, and then here it's just showing the breadth of product. So a little bit what Daniel talked about, the fast technology modules. So these are all built in to here, and then you just use the Easy software, Easy Starter software. So on the demo out there, I've got my computer and I'm showing the insides of the parameters and all that. And one of the nice things when you think about it, when you think about, well, should I create my own program, with my own PID, or should I use something that's canned? And you're thinking, well, I have a little more flexibility. I can customize it. But the problem that you have is when you create something, and then something goes wrong with it, and it's in the field, you have to have that computer, you have to have that software, and it's like, well, the guy that programmed it, maybe he had some other loop or doing some other thing there. With the CAN thing, you're literally going and changing a parameter. It's all handled. So it's easy to maintain, it's easy to, because situations change. The thing's running, it's running fine for 5 years, and then something changes. Maybe a bearing wears out or something like that. So you're never gonna, if you write your own program, it's never gonna be perfect. It may be perfect when you start it, but so from a maintenance point of view, these make sense. They really do. And the winder calculation and all that, I mean, from when I used to do it a long time ago, you'd have to know the thickness of the material, start with a diameter. This calculates it all automatically, and it does it really good. So, it all works, and there's different parameters you can change to get it to work the way you want to, but the winder and unwinder function are phenomenal in the drive. So, and then this slide here just kind of shows you the different modes we can run this drive in. This drive can run as the function blocks in the drive. You can make your own PLC program with those function blocks in the drive, or you can just use it as, it's not a dumb drive, it's a semi-intelligent drive, meaning it still closes its current velocity and position loop in the drive. It's just getting the position interpolated from the controller. So it's not like you're passing all that information. It's just acting as a slave to whatever the controller's telling it. And CIA 402 is the EtherCAT nomenclature that kind of says that. So, and then here's all the sizes that we offer. So we have a 230, 480 volt. Now all these drives, you can also run them on 110. It's obviously derated. Your speed goes down because you can't run that fast. Like the one I have out there is a 480 volt drive. I'm running it on 110. So you can run them on lower voltages. And this just shows all the cards that we offer. So you can see here we can put different encoder cards in there. We can put an I/O card in there, and then you can have field bus or not. It completely depends. And this drive also shows the extended safety, if you want to use the extended safety on there. So it's very configurable. And we also do have so we have Ethernet IP, Profinet, EtherCAT, CAN.
CAN, yeah.
CAN. Yeah, we can get CAN.
It's in the last.
Eventually,
It's
yeah.
going to be available in November.
So you have all those. So it's pretty flexible. And this shows the single cable. The nice thing with a single cable is you don't need another card for it. It runs off the positive temperature sensor. They put the communication into there, so it's all built into the drive. So you get that by default. And this is just showing a couple different solutions. You can run the i950 with a P300, kind of like the winder demo. That's kind of how I'm doing it. Or you can run it with a Rockwell, which I have another demo out there which you push the buttons. You can see the Rockwell PLCs running it. So it's very flexible. And then, like I said, this picture is showing the single cable as well.
Just maybe just to really quick jump in here, one of the advantages, and that's not only for the i950 servo drive, but also for the i500 VFDs. They're extremely easy to handle, specifically in a situation of maintenance or replacement, right? If you look at this drive here, everything is stored on the SD card. There's an SD card in, right? So you have to replace the drive. You take the faulty drive out, you take the new drive in, swap the SD card, power it up, good to go, right? And with a single cable here, right, so we just had the situation that one customer, he had a bunch of Allen Bradley single cable motors in the, in his machine. He wanted our drive. So hey, yeah, okay. We can run also the Allen Bradley single cable motors, right? So it's not only that we communicate to the top, to the PLC, to an Allen Bradley PLC or on Siemens PLC, but also down, from the drive down, we can run a single cable motor of different, from a different supplier, right? So again, this is this whole flexibility topic and the ease of handling, where really I think Lenze put a lot of effort into it to make that happen.
So this slide here just shows us working with a Rockwell PLC on the top end. Now this is, so we don't have SIP motion, but this is kind of sort of tricking it, saying that we can do SIP motion. So with this, so the Rockwell PLC, so these drives are, let's just say this is a printing machine. So these drives are synchronized all through this, what we call our system bus. So let's just make it simple where this is just, this is the master and these are following it. So all that information is passed over the system bus, and then we have the Ethernet IP cards in all these drives. And the picture really, it's kind of a block diagram. You can go into the one and then daisy chain over, but this kind of shows it a little bit different. But for most practical purposes, it's fine. And then these drives are just VFD drives. So you can see in a system, we can run a pretty complex machine, and it's still, the Rockwell is still the PLC. I mean, we don't prefer that. We'd rather have it ours, but some people, they want to use Rockwell. So like I said, once again, it's just showing the flexibility of our stuff working with third party. Obviously, you can change it out. No, I don't have it. You could change this out, and it could be a Siemens. Same thing. So,
right. And then you just pick a Profinet card instead of an Ethernet IP card.
Yeah, and another little tidbit: our X5 gateway does communicate directly with the Rockwell tags. There's an option in there where you can, if you don't have to rewrite everything and create something in there, it'll communicate directly with the tags, and then you can push those out to the cloud. So, oops. And then this is just kind of reiterating that slide back there with point-to-point axes, and I have a conveyor out there that I'm just showing it. I just hit 3 buttons and then it moves to 3 positions. The square lines up the square, circle with circle, and the triangle with triangle. And then this one here is kind of showing you the, kind of how we can do the gearing. Same thing. And then you can also, you can communicate. Obviously, as you guys know, Maple Systems and Red Lion communicate to the Rockwell PLC, so you can have your Rockwell and have everything else with it. So this just shows the AOI template here from Rockwell. So this is actually, obviously, you can see control logics, and then you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but you can, there's a pull down, and then you can select all these different options in here, and then it's already ready there. All the tags and everything are there, all the addresses, it populates it all in there. So you enable the drive, enable tension. There's another word for the amount of tension you want to do. So it's all built in. So So that's a really nice feature. Very easy to set up.
Right, and in case you're not sure if everybody's familiar with AOI and AOP, right? That's the way on how do you integrate your drive into the Rockwell world. And the AOI is basically add-on instruction list, where you have to connect every bit and all the bits and bytes one by one manually, kind of. You get your list, and you can do that. Or you use the AOP, and then everything is already populated. And you don't have to think about it, it's already there. So that's a super easy way on getting, our drive into the Rockwell world. And it's, we have a video online on YouTube where it shows how to set up a Lenze drive and then what to do at the Rockwell PLC. The whole video is 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and basically in 7 minutes you have your drive set up and integrated, and you have a position application.
Yeah, you bring the EDS file in, and then it populates it, all that stuff. There, you select the mode that you want. And that demo out there, 6 lines of code. And it could really have been done with 3, but I added a couple other features in there. So it's really easy to do. And I'm not a Rockwell programmer, and it was easy to do. So that's basically it. Basically all we have. So if you guys have any questions.
That was a quick overview, right? I mean, we could go for the next 3 hours without a problem, but just, kind of giving you, I think we could give you an insight and an idea about what Lenze can offer and how we can help you, really to either to build your machines or help your customers to build their machines. And, with a little less effort maybe than you used to do it. With a high flexible portfolio and skilled people to help you all the way through your development process, design process, and commissioning. So any questions, feel free to ask or stop by at our booth. We are there, of course, the whole day. And waiting for you to talk with you and find out some. I didn't
Look at that. 12 minutes to spare.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I talk fast, so.
Right. Yeah, I guess it was a lot of information, but again, if you have questions, feel free to stop by. We're there.
With the flexibility of being able to work with other manufacturers and whatnot, is there a cost impact?
No.
Going that route?
No. The cost impact basically is if you need. So if you just go with a Lenze system and you would have a Lenze PLC on top, EtherCAT is built into the PLC, is built into the drive. Now you want to go Rockwell, you want to go Siemens, you need to add the communication card.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only additional cost.
Yeah, and then on the software side, so if you go with the Lenze solution, and I could, if anybody wants to see it, I got my computer out there and I can show you. So you program, just doing the fast modules, you drop the module in there, you put the code the way you want to do it, whatever. And then the drive is all configured within that software, the parameters, feed constant, all that stuff set up in one piece of software. Our visualization is a little separate, but it's a little more integrated than it was. Then if you go with third party, so then you would use our Easy Starter, which is a free software, to program the drive, put the parameters in there, and then you would use, if you use Rockwell, you'd use the Rockwell software that, companies, if you have it, a company license, that could be steep. So, but, people are familiar with it, and that's what they offer. But, like Daniel said, our stuff it's like a one-time charge. You got it for life, and it's not, it's just what's, that's just the trend, that's all. So.
Right. And again, that's, we think really the advantage is you can have a full system where everything works together, obviously, because it's all from us. And we are basically producing and manufacturing all these products by ourselves, right? So unlike some other competitors we just talked about, they're basically brand labeling most of their products, right? So we have influence and we can do stuff with our products. So it gives you a consistent system where you have, just an easy access to. But on the other side, we're offering as well these flexibility, as discussed, going into or working together with different vendors as well, right? So open, flexible, and ready to go. And yeah, also maybe kind of important to know that, specifically the ProTech, is available. As I said, we're producing 25,000 drives a month, right? So we have these products available. We got a lot of chips assigned from Intel, so we are also going to ramp up production finally again for server drives. If you're going our server drive, the i950, we don't have an issue with the field bus modules. So we have all the field bus modules available, which is a big advantage. Right now it's hard to get the drive, but we have the field bus.
Yeah.
But as I said, the availability of the drives is going up. And I expect latest by beginning of next year that we are, really are back on track with deliveries also on server drives, right? Including the field bus and everything. So, and that's maybe at the moment one of the biggest advantages if you can get a drive.
Yeah.